Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to Inside the Newsroom. I'm Maddie Paul. Inside the Newsroom, we talk about the trending stories of the KELOLAND area, and we bring in our newsroom staff members to talk about how they created these trending stories. However, today's going to be a little bit different. Instead of talking about the trending stories in the area, we're going to show you what's new at KELOLAND News. We have a whole docket for you today because first we're going to be talking about a new show, and then we're going to introduce you to some new staff members with us inside the newsroom. But first, let's talk about this new show because I know you all love to complain about the weather, to talk about the weather, to have all those little weather facts and knickknacks about it. Well, guess what? There is now a new way that you can learn everything about the weather with your favorite meteorologists, Scott Munt and Brian Karstens. And Brian joins us now to talk about our new show, Weather or Not. Brian, it's such a silly name for a weather show, so let's get into it a little bit. Weather or Not. Tell me a little bit about what you hope to get out of this show.
Well, first of all, with the naming of this, we had to toss around a few different ideas, what would be good, what would be a little catchy, but we kind of settled on that. And yeah, basically that boils us down to weather, which is going to be a big part of our show, obviously, is Scott and I have been working together for 25 years now.
Dating it. That's how old I am.
Long. Yeah. So now you know we've been around a little while. So here's the thing. Scott and I, over the years, we just kind of think, it's a lot of times when we're on the morning show, he'll be thinking something and I'll look across the studio and I know exactly what he's thinking about. And, we finish each other's sentences. And so this is a conversational show that is going to take the platform of what we do on our regular television program in the morning, and it gives us some freedom to kind of expand upon that. So, of course, there's going to be discussions about weather. And when we get into some really active weather days, especially, you're going to hear us talk about scenarios and things that we may not be able to get to entirely on television. So I think that'll be a really good way to, hey, I want to learn a little bit more about what's coming up tomorrow because this sounds like this could be quite a deal. And then you can watch for that. The not part in the headline in the show is everything else. So we talk about gardening. We talk about some of our personal lives a little bit, vacation pictures, things. I like to talk about a variety of subjects that come up. Obviously, when we do our show in the morning, we sometimes kind of venture off into that. So it'll be a fun conversation, and I hope people will enjoy it.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with the practices that we've been doing with Weather or Not, and me just like watching the show on KELOLAND Plus is it feels so conversational based. It feels so you're in my home in a way more than it already feels when you do the forecasts. So viewers, as you were saying, can expect to see your guys' forecast, but expanded. And we can expect maybe to see some garden pictures, some vacation pictures, get to know a little bit more about our Mets on the team. What else do you hope to bring in with content that you've done in practice rounds of Weather or Not that you think viewers can expect?
Well, one thing I'd love to see, and we've been experimenting a little bit with a couple of ways that we can flag some content to maybe prompt some emails, some questions from our viewers and get you involved, on the other side of the screen, because this is an opportunity that gives us a little more time to expand on, hey, somebody's got a question about why did this happen or why, clouds, storms, you name it, the whole gamut. I love teaching about weather. That's one of my side things that I do occasionally is I do some weather classes and have had an opportunity to work with area students. And I'm always amazed, and it's not just students, it's all ages of people that ask me questions about various things in weather. So I'd like to turn this into an opportunity for people to interact with us a little more. And then also just knowing that this show, I'm sure, will end up going in different directions based on the season. Because once we get into winter, then you got a whole new slate of things that are going to be coming up. And everybody likes to speculate about storms and how many inches of snow we're going to get. And of course, you got to remember, too, Scott's winter forecast.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We're going to be able to bug him about that even way in advance. And maybe he'll give us a couple clues maybe early. So,
yeah.
Some
you
fun
can
stuff
quiz
like
him,
that.
maybe get some multiple choice for him or for the viewers. That'd be kind of fun.
Yes, I think there's definitely room for that. So it should be a really good opportunity to expand some of the things we're doing on television, but in a in a format that we run, basically almost a half an hour. So it'll be a little shorter than that, but it'll be a great opportunity, I think, for viewers to dive in deeper into weather.
And what do you think is something that you're most looking forward to with the show? You're talking about the teaching element that you're already going to be having and how Scott's obviously a great friend and a great Met to work with. But is there any other factors that you're most looking forward to?
Well, I think as we dialogue about the weather too, it always causes me to think more through the forecast. And when we have that chance after the program, because this will be a program that'll, of course, air during the early afternoon. So as we put our thoughts together, it always gives me another fresh opportunity to look through things and ask Scott questions, and he will ask me questions. And that I think that'll be sharpening us up a little bit too on just thinking about, did you see this? Or what about this? And, new information is always coming our direction. In meteorology, when we're doing forecasts, every hour of the day we get new information. And there's more things all the time on the horizon for forecasting tools. I'm amazed at where we live in today's day and age, the number of things at our disposal. So you won't necessarily just see regular TV graphics. You're going to see us pull up like things that we use behind the scenes. And I'm not afraid to pull those up, and we'll just go through some maps that are a little bit more, sciencey looking, but that's okay. And we tend to explain that anyway when we've done that on TV. But I love to kind of step into that arena just a little bit.
And Whether or Not airs every day on KELOLAND Plus at 1:30 with Brian Carstens and Scott Muntz. So, Brian, thank you so much for joining me for those details. And stick around, viewers, because up next, again, we are showing you what's new at KELOLAND News. So, we're going to introduce you to one of our new sports reporters. Stick with us. She's coming up next after the break. Welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. So we're learning about what's new in KELOLAND News. Well, we're going to start off by introducing you to our newest staff members. To start, we're entering the sports world. A little unfamiliar for me, but if this person is unfamiliar to you, you better get to know her. We're learning about Kelsey Dennehy, our newest sports reporter here at KELOLAND. Welcome to the digital desk, Kelsey. This must feel a little bit different than the studio, at least.
Yeah, but it's fun. I love it.
Good. Lots of new pieces for you, Kelsey. But since you're new for most of our viewers here in the KELOLAND area, let's just start with a very basic question. Can you tell us about who you are and your journey coming here to KELOLAND Sports?
Absolutely. So obviously I'm Kelsey. Nice to meet everyone. I am from Boston, Massachusetts originally. I just graduated from Indiana University with a degree in sports media and broadcast journalism. And KELOLAND has become my new home in South Dakota. I've never been to South Dakota before I started working here, but I've been loving it so far. It's been a great adventure.
And what are you most looking forward to when it comes to getting to know coaches and players and teams here, especially because this is brand new territory for you? So what are you most looking forward to when it comes to learning a bit about our sports world in KELOLAND?
Just that, honestly. My favorite part about this industry and this job in itself is building connection and being able to get to know people. That's really what we're doing, is we're merging the gap between the coaches, the athletes, and their stats and what they're doing on the field, and bringing their other side of themselves, that reminding people that they are people too, not just athletes and stats and coaches and whatnot. So I'm really looking forward to being able to tell those stories and just get to know the sports around here. I feel like I've already kind of jumped in baseball season and softball season.
Yeah.
And it's been great so far.
So what's your favorite sports topics to report on? I'm not necessarily asking about what kind of sport is your favorite to cover, but just any general type of story. What do you like to do the most?
My favorite story to report on, honestly, I love a good success story, but not in the basic way. I love being able to share something that's more under the surface for an athlete or a coach, something that people may not know that they've had to overcome and get to where they are. And usually that makes sharing the success that much sweeter for them and for us, because people don't know all of the hardships and all of the things that athletes and coaches go through on a day-to-day basis. So being able to share that, a small part of it with the KELOLAND community, is something that I'm really looking forward to.
And why did you choose sports when you went into the world of broadcast? Why not do news? Why not do weather? Why'd you pick sports?
So going into Indiana University, I grew up playing ice hockey and a couple other sports, but ice hockey was
that's tough.
Yeah,
that's a tough
ice
sport.
hockey was my heavy hitter. And then I also did theater. So I was like simultaneously playing hockey and doing theater. I was the president of our drama guild at my high school, and a co-captain of my hockey team. And so I've always been used to balancing those things in my life. And somehow it kind of merged into the world of sports media. And I found that it kind of scratched that same itch for me. And I loved all of the different elements of it. And so I started, and then I just never really stopped. So
wow, that's such an interesting background. So does your free time include ice hockey or theater too? Or what does it look like outside of working here at the station?
yeah, so I'm very big. I love health and wellness, exercise. I use that to get my mind right when I'm not at work. But I also love just watching sports and being a sports fan. Obviously, coming from the Boston market, I am used to a lot of winning in my professional sports teams. So I still love cheering for my teams out here. But I would say that's just watching sports with my friends. That's the biggest kind of camaraderie and getting together community that I found while I've been in college, and it's been really fun.
Yeah, what else have you found to be so special about covering local sports coverage? Like, what makes local sports so impactful for communities, in your opinion?
Local sports are my favorite, to be honest. Not only are you able to access so many more athletes and tell so many more stories, but you're able to impact their career. They're looking to maybe take it to the next level and go play in college. And the work that we do maybe helps to highlight that. Or they're just doing it because they love the game and they are looking for a sense of community, friendship. And so being able to highlight that as well is something that I really love about local sports.
And then what's one thing that you would like our viewers to know about you?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Haha, scheming up here.
I'm always going to do my best. That's something I pride myself on. And so being able to give back to the community in a way that is also telling somebody's story is my favorite thing. So I'm always going to be giving my 100% and making sure that I am sharing stories that are truthful and sometimes heartwarming, sometimes hard to tell, but it's all really important to me.
Well, Kelsey, thank you so much for joining me here at the Digital Desk, giving us a little bit about your background and also your philosophy for sports. It's been nice to get to know you.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thank you so much. And still to come on Inside the Newsroom, we are still introducing you to our newest members inside the newsroom. Next, we're meeting one of our producers, someone you may not see on air, but definitely makes a big difference off screen. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Now we're showing you what's new inside the newsroom. You just got to meet our newest sports reporter, but now you're going to meet somebody who don't necessarily be on screen all the time, but they certainly make a difference behind the screen. And this is our newest producer, Ellis Cruzy. Ellis, welcome to the Digital Desk. It feels like a podcast, right?
Yes, I'm so excited.
Good. I'm glad. This is your first time doing something like on screen, on air too, right?
Yes, it's a little nerve-wracking to say the least.
Well, now I'm nervous because this is big deal for me now. I want to start because I really want our viewers to get to know who you are, our producer. Could you say what show you produce and then tell us a little bit about where you're from and your journey here to KELOLAND?
Yeah, for sure. So I am the new 10 p.m. producer. And then I'm actually originally from Illinois, but I moved up to go to college at USD a few years ago, I guess. And yeah, I've just been living in South Dakota ever since. I love it. It's definitely different from Illinois, but it's great.
And what made you so interested in TV journalism, TV broadcast?
Well, I've always loved writing since I was a little girl. I did a lot more creative writing. And then my junior year at South Dakota, I got more into doing Coyote News and the Volant, which is the newspaper. And so that really stemmed my interest in news writing. And I've just really loved it because there's always something new to write about and it can really make an impact, I guess.
It's funny you say that because, it makes me think like, oh, then why not become a reporter? Why did you choose the way of producing instead?
I guess I am more of like an introvert, I guess. So in going and talking to a bunch of people isn't always my thing. And I also just love the producer aspect of, getting to do camera shots and all of that stuff. So it's really like a broad area I get to work in. So
I feel like you're not an introvert just by doing this conversation right now. You're doing great. I want to hear more about your thought process when it comes to producing. How do you decide which stories lead a 10 p.m. newscast, or even just choosing which stories will become a part of your show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess when it comes to like choosing stories and which will be the lead, I always think about too like what I would find the most interesting, because for our viewers, you don't want them to be bored and like, just hear stories that they wouldn't be interested in. So I always try to put that into perspective while I'm putting a show together.
So something that will keep them engaged and activated. And how do you go about choosing other types of stories then?
Well, I also love to throw in like happy stories or like stuff that the community would really be interested in, like fundraisers for nonprofits and things like that. I think are really important, especially for, South Dakota. And
community impact. I love that feature.
Yeah.
So here's a fun little question. Do you think you would prefer a slow news day, or would you want something where we have 3 breaking stories at once and you got to get it all in your show?
I think even though it would be stressful, like 3 breaking stories, just because I do like keeping myself busy and I just love I get very bored easily. So definitely just keeping me on my toes and just keeping myself busy.
I like that. You seem like you'd be very cool under pressure then. What's something that you find rewarding about producing here in KELOLAND?
Well, I guess something I find rewarding would just be knowing that like a lot of like the nonprofit stories that I've done for some shows, I think that feels rewarding just because I'm helping get the word out and like helping people. So I don't know, I'm a big person on helping people. So whenever I have a chance to do that or like inform people about a topic is great.
Awesome. And then what's one thing that you would like our viewers to know about you?
I don't know. I guess I'm a very bubbly person and I like providing entertainment for the show. So just doing like fun camera shots and stuff like that. I guess.
You're going to keep it interesting. I like that. You never know what you're going to get with Ellis behind the screen.
Exactly.
Is there anything else that you would like our viewers to know about you or about working at KELOLAND or anything at all?
Well, I guess I'm just super excited to be here and all the people are amazing. And the opportunities here are just more than I could have asked for.
Oh, well, Ellis, thank you so much for joining me here at the digital desk. And congratulations on being able to produce our 10 p.m. newscast.
Glad to. Thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime. And stick with us, viewers. We're going to wrap things up when we come back after the break. That's all the time that we have today for Inside the Newsroom. Thank you for watching, and make sure you watch Whether or Not at 1:30 on KELOLAND Plus now that we've officially launched that show. And also, I have exciting news for tomorrow's episode of Inside the Newsroom. Today, we looked at what's new at KELOLAND News, but tomorrow, I'm showing you who's leading the newsroom. We're talking to my bosses tomorrow on Inside the Newsroom. So if you see me sweat a little tomorrow, that will be why. But thank you so much for watching Inside the Newsroom today. And until next time, have a great day, everyone.